Hi everyone, this is Jasmine of Sashes&Scripts and welcome back to my channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell to be updated on the latest pageant happenings. So, the Miss Universe Philippines is officially underway and by now, the top 30 candidates have already been named. And instead of the usual na pageant video on who made the top 30, we thought na regardless of who makes the official 30 candidates for this year's pageant, ang gagawin natin ngayon is isa-isahin natin yung mga candidates that really made an impression to us, whether they are pageant veterans or they are pageant newbies. So yun ngayon ang gagawin natin for today's video. And instead of the usual na one video lang ang gagawin natin for this video, this is going to be a two-part series. The first video, we will be focusing on the pageant newbies, and the second video will be focusing more on the strong pageant veterans in the competition. Now, hindi kaila na sa ngayon, we can see that the Miss Universe Philippines 2021 pageant is going to be a battle between the pageant newbies and the pageant veterans. And mukhang maglalabo-labo ang mga veterana versus ang mga baguhan dahil may kanya-kanya silang mga strengths and weaknesses. And isa yun sa mga pag-uusapan natin sa video ngayon. And we will be taking notes on the areas where the candidates can improve themselves. Kaya sana huwag maging emotional o kaya maging balat sibuyas ang mga pageant fans, because these critiques are meant to be there so that each of the candidates will improve on them. And mabigyan din sila ng mga perspektibo na maaaring hindi nila nakikita o hindi nakikita ng kanilang mga respective na mga pageant teams. The first girl na pag-uusapan natin today is Maureen Wroblewitz. And she's one of the most, popular na mga girls in the competition, having been a winner of the Asia's Next Top Model na competition. And ang nakikita ko sa ngayon with Maureen is that she is the flag bearer of the entire, newbies na mga candidates among all of the group. And ang nakikita ko kay Maureen is that aside from a very commercial, very pretty face, is that madali siyang mag-transition from pretty to sultry to fierce. And that I think it's just a matter of finding, the right makeup, the right styling for her to transition from one look to another. And ang maganda kasi kay Maureen is yung kanyang mukha, it looks like a very blank canvas na pwede mong paglaruan, na pwede mong ayusin, na pwede mong bigyan ng magkakaibang looks. Now, the thing about Maureen is that she is backed by the ABS-CBN Talent Circle. Kaya kung hindi nyo napapansin, parati siyang featured sa mga news articles ng ABS-CBN. And if you look at their write-ups, madalas nababanggit si Maureen. Kaya hindi nakakapagtaka na the first part of the competition, parati siyang nasa top 3, top 5 ng mga challenges. And that is because of the voting, and that is because of the visibility that is being boosted by, of course, a big backer by ABS-CBN. Hindi naman siguro naman pababayaan ng Star Magic Circle yung kanilang alaga, di ba? So hindi rin natin maaalis na advantages yun para kay Maureen. And one of the things that I also noticed is that nag-improve ang pasarela ni Maureen from the time that she competed in AS&TM as compared to the video na nakita natin sa kanya during the runway challenge. So that is a very strong point that I think she needs to keep on improving dahil is it still at par with the other girls in the competition? Hindi natin masasabi because the way that her clips were spliced is that hindi kita yung gaano ka-powerful yung kanyang lakad. Although nakikita natin na may magandang rhythm and movement siya from the hip movement in her pasarela video. So isa yun sa mga nakikita ko na improve niya ng maayos from her initial stint in the modeling competition na AS&EM. Another thing that I think that is an advantage for Maureen is that, of course, meron siyang makinarya. May makinarya behind her. Given na natin yung ABS-CBN connections. And kahit natanggalin natin yon, with her being in the industry for several years, meron na siyang na-build up na mga relationships with designers, photographers, and stylists that will help her in the competition later on. However, hindi ibig sabihin napakampante na lang siya, because there are areas that Maureen needs to work in, and one of those weak areas or weak points na kinakailangan niyang tutukan is she appears to be not very engaging kahit na ang gaganda ng mga pictures niya, ang gaganda ng mga videos niya, na parang walang connection yung mga taong nanonood sa kanya at taong tumitingin sa kanyang mga imahe. So there is that lacking of connection, lacking of engagement between her photos and her videos. Although pwede nating idahilan na hindi kasi siya personal na nakikita ng mga tao, but still there are girls na even in photos, even in their videos, even in still photographs, lumalabas yung personality, and dito yung nagiging problema ni Maureen, because she is looking like a generic pretty girl na nagiging kahinaan niya yon, and it gives her like this very flat, one-dimensional na personality, which she needs to be able to break through if she wants to be, Miss Universe. Kasi as a beauty queen, iba yung requirement ng trabaho. So now let's talk about Rousanne Bernos. She is a TikToker, and she is very popular in that platform, which is a little bit more skewed towards the younger Gen Z crowd. The Sashes&Scripts demographic is actually around someone who are in their late 20s up to early 30s. So medyo on the older side ang mga taong nagfo-follow sa amin. And with our audience, I feel that Ain Bernos is not their typical definition of what is beautiful. And what I like about Ain is that she is trying to reframe what is gorgeous, what is beautiful in the context of Philippine pageantry. Kasi ang nangyayari na nakikita kong ginagawa niya is that she knows that she's not the tallest, the most facially pretty, or the most commercial beauty out there in the group. However, that is not a hindrance to her in expanding, in rather pushing her message that maybe we should be more open to Filipino beauties of different sizes, of different heights, of different looks. And we need to expand how we define what is beautiful. And I know na hindi ito madaling gawin for someone who is going for a competition na based majority on looks. Her battle is going to be an uphill battle. We should all recognize that. She, I believe, is someone who has a purpose, and someone who is hell-bent in that purpose. And despite all the comments on her physicality, hindi nagiging issue yun sa kanya. And we need people like her who will try to redefine what pageants is. And the reason why I admire her is that she, for me at the least, reflects the journey of Maria Thatil of Australia, who made it into the semis of Miss Universe just last year. Ang nakikita ko kasi is that she parallels that kind of journey in the pageants, whether she wins, whether she places into the semis or not. I think Ain is someone that we should all admire, because hindi ganon kadali na gibain yung mga preconceived na mga notions ng mga tao when it comes to pageantry, especially in pageantry na napaka-physical nung ginagalawang mundo ng mga tao doon, na everything has to be physically perfect, or has to be has to be aligned with what is considered beautiful. So I think that the area that I needs to improve on or rather strengthen on is yung tatag ng loob, because hindi magiging madali itong susuugin niyang landas, especially in the top 30 na everything now is more, more competition based, more on skill based, more. That's the thing that I hope that she fosters in, is that hindi rin siya makinig sa mga bashers para maging mas smooth yung kanyang pageant journey. The third girl that we're going to talk about is Jasmine Umali, who has a pedigree, being, her mom a mutya ng Pilipinas alum, and her dad, Vince Pinto, being, Manhunt International, if I'm not mistaken, or Mr. International runner-up back in the 1990s. Jasmine inherited, the nice bone structure, the nice height, of her parents, because Jasmine, if I'm not mistaken, stands somewhere between 5'9", 5'9 and a half. Ang maganda kasi kay Jasmine is that yung maganda yung poise, maganda yung tindig, maganda yung kanyang bearing. And if I'm not mistaken, she screened for the Miss World Philippines earlier this year, but later on was pulled to join the Miss Universe Philippines pageant, which I think, if we are looking at the chances of winning a title, definitely she would have easily gotten one of the titles in Miss World Philippines, and could have even, given a run for Dinde Pajares for the Miss Supranational title. However, I think that looking now at her performance at Miss Universe Philippines, nakikita ko na medyo mas up nga din pala siya sa Miss Universe Philippines, because maganda yung transformation niya from the very sweet-looking Jasmine that we saw in the screenings for Miss World Philippines to the now more mature, more ladylike, more fierce woman that we see in NUPH, especially in the type of images, the type of photos that we see of her, and the way that we saw her in motion on different video challenges. Now, the thing about Jasmine is that facially, very interesting yung kanyang muka, although may mga angulo na hindi ganun ka-strong yung kanyang arrive, ang kanyang dating. So kinakailangan niyang mag-ingat, kinakailangan niyang, to use different styling, especially styling techniques, especially on the eye area, because I think that is where may konti tayong kinakailangan na i-polish pa, or may mga areas pa in the eye makeup that we can improve on to make her look, as gorgeous as she can. Because among all the girls, pag pinagtabi-tabi mo yung mga girls, isa sa mga madali mong matandaan ang mukha is actually Jasmine's. I also needed to point out that she needs to work on having more versatile looks. I am not a fan of the very straight hair. I think there needs a little bit more volume. Kinakailangan ng additional volume kapag nag-straight hair siya, because nagmumukhang flat yung kanyang muka when she has her hair, straight as Ariela Aridas. I think, body, hair na mas may body, mas may bounce, mas may curls, nababagay sa kanya. And with that being said, medyo nakakakahon ngayon siya in terms of the looks na pwede niyang gamitin in the competition. That is why I think that she needs, to talk to her stylists, to her glam team, to find more looks in her so that meron siyang bala in her arsenal later on, para hindi rin siya nakakahon na iisa lang yung look na babagay sa kanya, or isa lang yung type of makeup na babagay sa kanya. She needs to experiment now, because later on, kapag kasagsagan na ng competition leading to the finals on September 25, hindi siya mapag-iwanan in terms of different looks. And then, let's talk about the very controversial na Kirsten Delavin. Okay, I think it's about time that we call her by her name, Kirsten, kasi masyadong nakakanene yung kisses. I think that Kirsten has a good, ring to it. Her name is actually very pretty, and when we think of Kirsten, or rather when we think of kisses, ang naaalala natin is yung PBB na teenager. And now, I think she has matured a little bit more over the years, and her participation in Miss Universe Philippines now is a testament to that growth from PBB now to NUP. One of the strengths that I see Kirsten have or is in possession of is yung kanyang yung accessibility to the masses, yung kanyang connection to her fan base, to her audience. And it is easy for non-pageant fans or non-fans of hers to throw punches on her because of how how unbalanced they think the Miss Universe Philippines eliminations are, because it favors more towards the popular girls because of the voting system. I know isa yun sa mga sour points ng mga regular na pageant fans, but if we look at Kirsten, we look at Kirsten in what she is capable of, transformable pa yung bata. Transformable pa yung dilag na ito. And I think that given the right training, given the right arsenal, the right preparations, the right styling, madali siyang i-transform into whatever you want her to transform into, whether that be a more sultry na look or a more fierce na look. Now, the disconnect, however, that we get in that is that maaring hindi nababagay sa personalidad niya yung going to the fierce na side. So there is a need for her to balance it out, na hindi mawawala yung innocence na meron siya, yung tinatawag na joie de vivre or joy in life na meron siya that she currently possesses, versus the need to have a more mature na Reyna. So I think there is a balancing act that needs to be done there. Ang nakikita ko is her face is very transformable. She can actually pull off a little bit more looks, a little bit more styling. However, kinakailangan maging maingat siya in the way she is overall package. Yung kanyang styling, not only sa hair and makeup, but rather the way she is dressed up. Her body, I believe, needs still a lot of work. And ang worry here is that with the Miss Universe, being a month, 2 months, or 3 months away from the finals on September 25, there might not be enough time to transform her or to mold her into the type of competitor na pwede mong isabak sa Miss Universe stage without having any doubts or without having any kaba kung ano ang magiging chances niya in the international competition. So for me, siguro a little bit more polish muna in the years. Let this be a learning experience for her in Miss Universe Philippines, and then come back later kapag she has more life experience to bring into the table. The last girl that we will be talking about in the video is Triple V, or Victoria Velasquez Vincent. And what I see in her is that siya yung pinaka-swak sa needs, pinaka-swak sa tipo ng babae na pwedeng isabak sa Miss Universe pageant. Hers is a strong resume, she is gorgeous, she is physically fit, ang ganda ng body proportions niya, and all of those things are things na pwede niyang dalhin in the international competition. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about how physically gorgeous she is, kung gaano siya kaganda. She actually reminds me of this actress who played one of the lead in the TV show titled Rousanne and Isles, which says something about her international appeal. And ang nakikita ko rin sa kanya is that hindi siya mahirap bihisan because she has great body proportions. She stands 5'9" or 5'9.5". I'm not sure about that, but you can see yung kanyang katawan is that she has nice long limbs. Ang haba niyang tignan, hindi siya mukhang mahirap bihisan because she has, if I'm not mistaken, she has around what we call a fashion proportion, which means that mas mahaba tignan yung legs as compared to the rest of her body. I also like about her is that she comes in with a really meaty resume. She has a double master's degree in architecture and heritage conservation from the University of Auckland in New Zealand. So that alone in itself, meron na siyang mapag-uusapan, meron na siyang topics na pwede niyang mapag-usapan in interviews. Something that is not, the generic I'm a model type conversations in the competition. She has this very engaging beauty na kahit sa litrato o kahit sa videos lang is that she has that magnetism na you are drawn in her. I do, however, still need to point out one or two areas that needs to work on. Given na magaling siyang magsalita, and that is evidenced by her topping the interview challenge, there is a need for her that when she talks, she needs to lower her down a little bit to be more masa. Because right now, ang nakita ko kasi kay Victoria is that she is so alta that probably the high society hindi magkakaroon ng problema na magipag-relate sa kanya, which is not a good, not a bad thing. Although it might be difficult for her to go down to the more masa na level where karamihan ng mga pageant fans are in that level, and mahirap makipag-relate sa kanya because of her educational background, especially on the area where she talks about her passion for architecture and heritage conservation. And ito yung mga tipong hindi madalas na topic of discussion ng mga pageant fans. And the newbies have the early advantage during the initial stages of the Miss Universe Philippines competition. However, as we now move to the top 30, magbabago ang laban, magbabago ang laro. And this is the time where they are going to be judged based on merit. And so they need to really hone their skills, their presentation, the way they communicate. Because sa ngayon, ang mangyayari is that mula sa voting na system, mula sa popularidad na system, karamihan ng pagdadaanan nila ngayon is more on the skill-based, technical-based na aspeto ng performance. And that is where may advantage sa kanila ang mga veterana. It doesn't mean that they are not, at par or at level, but kinakailangan nilang makipagsabayan this time around because ayaw natin na ang magiging kritisismo sa kanila is that kaya lang naman sila nakakapasok sa top 75, top 50, or top 30. It's because meron silang makinarya na tumutulong sa kanila. And ngayon, ang kinakailangan nilang pagtuunan is on performance. They need to make sure that polished ang kanilang mga presentation because ang kakalabanin nila is hindi mga basta-basta. Ito ang mga kandidatang veterana na sa aspeto ng competition, and they are, they have the advantage of knowing where to put their energies in within the competition. It doesn't help that you have an early lead kung hindi mo naman siya kayang i-sustain in the long term. And that is something that they had an advantage on, and ngayon ibang level of laro na ngayon ang haharapin nila with the top 30. And the top 30 is where the real fight begins. With that being said, may pagkakataon na ngayon ang mga pageant veterans to narrow the gap, to inch closer, and probably even take advantage and take the lead from the pageant newbies. And yun ang ngayon ang pag-uusapan natin sa susunod na video. So stay tuned for that and see you again soon in the next video. Bye and take care everyone.